Holy shit. Hey, Hoff! Why don't you start that holiday movie? Thank you, good sir. Welcome to the, I believe I called it Obscure Chatterday. Chatterday? Nope, that's not what it is. Obscure Chatter Holiday Extravaganza. And I want to say that you guys really let me get to know you in answering these questions. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, or Instagram, because I'm back on Instagram and I've missed it so much, but we can get into that later. You guys sent me your answers to this questionnaire that I made, and even like personal friends, sent me things like, it's like, oh, that's fun. Or, I don't know, just, it was interesting. And I know it's taken me a second to get to getting this episode out, but this has got to be one of the more hectic Christmas seasons, at least that I can recall as an adult, in a while. Like, there's a lot of possible, like, new, like, big stuff happening, and it's like, holy crap, this is all happening, like big stuff is happening as soon as like yesterday, and it's just trying to plan all this stuff out and hoping for the best, expecting the worst. And what can I say? I'm a realist. Some may say a pessimist, but anyways, yeah, no, holiday stuff. I know that we missed out on November. Sadly, we had a family friend of a friend pass away. So rather than try to like power through an episode, which Dawn Bennett was scheduled to be on in November, I messaged Dawn. She was totally understanding, and we figured it out. I think I was a little cryptic for some of y'all about the reasoning, but it was just a friend of a friend. I didn't personally know her, but it was kind of surreal because, my mother-in-law passed away in January, and it was at the same place that her funeral was. And also my mother-in-law's name is Judy. This woman's name was Judy. And so like, it was like, oh, this, and you just saw a bunch of people that you saw in January, and saw just from January to November how much things have changed. Even less masks and less caring about personal space. But, I'm glad that we listened to our inner dialogue and just being like, okay, Obscure Chatter can get rescheduled. This cannot. And it was just a lot. So again, I really appreciate you guys being so understanding, and we will just keep on pushing on. But yes, I sent everyone a questionnaire to fill out. Not everyone. I sent out a link, and 14 responses, not including me and Hoff. So you guys are awesome. We have 2 people that decided to remain anonymous, which in the future, I might send you guys questionnaires if I really want to do something else in the same vein, because I love when you guys participate. And I like to think you guys too. Guys do too. But so, all right. So one of the first things that I asked is, do you decorate for the holidays? If so, ... And some of y'all just said no or yes. And I respect that. But then others got to just really build up on their answers, like Manonymous, who is anonymous number 1, said, tree and fat mustache Santa helpers with pointy hats are placed everywhere. These guys are either the size of small hands or the size of a small child. Also, we have incense burners, where they resemble short, round, fat people, where you stick incense up their ass and the smoke comes out, usually of their mouth. Thank you for adding usually. Decorating is mainly done inside, but that might change after all these years next year. Hey, keep me posted. And me, it really is hit or miss. But even as a kid, I was like, oh, we get to do both. I didn't really live in a house until I was 17. So we always decorated our trailers, But when we lived in apartments, like my mom's like, we're not decorating the balcony. Are you insane? Or like we didn't do wreaths or anything. And I make wreaths, myself. I go to just Michael's or Joann's. I don't really like Hobby Lobby for a multitude of reasons, but that's just me. If you do Hobby Lobby, you do you. And I buy supplies, and I'll buy different streamers and all that stuff. And for Christmas, I make this really cool silver one. And if you're really nice, I'll make you one. Personal friends. Sorry, I'm not sending you guys wreaths. Although next year, I was considering making a Keanu wreath. Would you guys buy Keanu wreaths from me? Don't answer that. Because my husband is probably like, don't encourage this, please. Or maybe he is. I don't know. We saw Matrix Resurrections last night, and I'm always on a Keanu kick, but And let's see. Megan said, inside and out, you decorate. Dad forbids us to dress up the dogs. Willow has a Santa Jaws sweater, but it's really cute. And then, oh my gosh, I remembered how to pronounce your name. You are like a friend at this point. Renate. I am just going to call you Ren, if that's cool, because I don't want to butcher your name throughout this episode. I love you. I hope you know that I love you, and I hope that you're doing well. But Ren says, with stars in my windows and a Christmas tree, a few Santas here and there. I like it. William, I do trees and lights if I'm feeling it. It's kind of hard to feel it this year, honestly. I don't know about you, William, but like we have boxes on boxes of stuff that Stephen's parents have given us over the years. And some of that stuff, I'm like, I'm pretty sure some of this stuff has been recalled over the years, like where like the outlet and plug compatibility just seems questionable. And so, and everything, I don't know, like if they're decorations that kind of take over like the space that they inhabit, I feel if they're used, they're always going to smell like the house they used to be in. And I'm finicky about fragrances, so anytime we put it out, Stephen's like, oh, it smells like home. Like, it doesn't smell like our home, because he grew up with that smell. I did not. Courtney, as much as my budget and power will allow. Well, isn't that a whole thing? Being in Texas, I know Courtney is a great friend. Courtney lives in Texas, and power in Texas has been hit or miss this year for me. Just in the last month, I've had my power go out 3 times. So I'm really looking forward to the full winter time. I hope we all make it. So while you have power, please decorate. And then my second anonymous person, who I was painfully clever enough to refer to as Womanonymous, says, small tree, mantle garland, ornaments, wreath, and string of lights. Here's the thing. String of lights, I remember them being bigger. Do we just not sell like those big fat ones, you know, the ones that burnt when you touch them? As I'm saying it, I'm thinking there's a reason those aren't readily available anymore. But the tiny lights, I always kind of connect to just being a teenager that wanted to seem interesting, with lights just kind of strung about your room. But, yeah, for outside decorations is always weird. But walking around the neighborhood, I've noticed that decorations have gotten insane. I do not get the inflatable decorations. The ones where, like, the fan is, like, louder than your Aunt Gloria's car. Or anyone's. But, it's just a really, like, whoa! And, like, you're voluntarily going to listen to that and subject your neighbors to that all day. Why? Mario says, yes, we usually put up a Christmas tree along with lights along the entire house as well as the balcony. The balcony. It's pretty much a tradition. See, I wish that we just decorated more. I just don't really decorate, but at this point, I think it's probably because, one, I don't trust my dog. She's never really gotten into stuff, but you never know when she's feeling finicky. what she's gonna do. I will say one odd thing that really affected my mother was, out of all the things that got destroyed from a house fire, for those of you who don't know, because this happened a while ago and a lot of you were very kind to help out and donated a little bit here and there to helping my family out. And I'm just floored by that still. But my mother's place had an old fire, fireplace, and my brother just happened to be asleep in the living room. They had the fire still going, and what they didn't know is the house had shifted and a crack had built. So the fire that was going on just went through the cracks, and my brother just happened to be awake or only half asleep and noticed this, and everybody got out alive. But the roof fully destroyed, and once the fire was put out, everything was destroyed from either fire or the efforts to put it out. And one big thing that got ruined were decorations that my brother and I had made over the years as children. And that, I'd say, was one of the bigger hits for my mom that I couldn't fully wrap my head around at the time. But it's like, you can't make those again, like the little things that you used to make as a kid, like just your crayons and cutouts to make strings of stuff for the tree, and just little drawings that only a kid brain would think of. And those are things that she put on the tree, and those got destroyed. So I don't know if she really decorated that much for a while, because it was always just kind of a reminder that those are things that the fire took. It's very sad. I haven't mentioned the name of this movie, and I'm not gonna, because I want Stephen to have an easy editing experience. But it's not something that I remember that fondly, but rewatching it right now, I'm like, oh wow, that kid grew up to be really handsome, and this person just grew up. Wonder if you can guess what it is. I'll give you a hint. It's a movie surrounding Christmas. Hope I didn't give it away. And it's not, I do have a holiday, movie question that we will go over later. But like I said, talking about this, we were getting to some little semblance of normal. And a couple of months before now, I was like, oh, well, this will be interesting to kind of figure out, because maybe we're getting a little better. And then obviously the pandemic is not over, and it's getting a little worse. Texas is Texas, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But, I don't know about y'all, but I didn't do anything last Thanksgiving. So there was a point where it was just me, Stephen, and Willow, and my father-in-law, Ed. And I'm like, what did we do last year? And my father-in-law was like, nothing. We didn't do anything. We didn't see each other last year. I'm like, oh, right. Pandemic. That is still going on. But I had just kind of lost it, forgotten about it, just glazed over, and combined the past 2 years and made it 1 year to this. Blah. I hope you guys, again, had a really good Thanksgiving. Mine was just weird because I am the black sheep of my family, my family outside of my in-laws, and I'm estranged from pretty much everybody. And that's by choice, mental health, and that's all I will say about that. If you are a family member listening to this, that must be interesting for you. But yeah, all that said, I never really interacted with all that many people. And then my brother-in-law and his family are still in China and might never come back. So, and then we lost Judy this January. So Thanksgiving was interesting and hard, but we talked about Judy, and I gotta tell you, I really missed when Stephen and his dad are talking about these things, and I could just look over at Judy, and Judy could just look over at me and be like, what are they talking about? And I mentioned that to my father-in-law. He's like, you guys did that? I'm like, oh, we always did like the nonverbal communication of like, girl. And I didn't realize how much I would miss that, but I really do. And I think I'll miss it a lot on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But yes. Another question that I asked, and I just tallied the votes here. Do you still believe in Santa? 70% say no. Are you shocked at the 30%? I don't know about y'all, but I can't fully grasp when I stopped believing. And I asked you, if you don't believe in Santa, when did you stop believing? And of course, a few of you are like, what? I'm just finding this out. You guys are so painfully clever. I appreciate the sarcasm, but leave it to the professionals, please. Kidding. But I guessed 7 or 8. And that seems to kind of be like around the time. I'd say 11 and 12 seems like a little late in the game. But I remember it was I know that my parents were still together, so it had to be before I was 8, because I think they got, or like no older than 8. And we went to my father's mother's place. I don't say grandma because she really did not like me, but we were so at this time. But I'm giving you guys so many little insights into my life. You're welcome, and I'm sorry. But I remember the couple of days before we got out of school, I did this whole report about how insane it would be for Santa not to exist if they covered, Santa sightings on the news. I went in super hardcore. I'm like, you're telling me that a meteorologist, that a scientist is going to look for a man in the sky if he doesn't actually believe that he's there? Come on. And so, cut to that Christmas, I'm a very, very light sleeper, and I just heard some noise, and I thought it was Santa. So I got up from the guest bedroom. My brother and I got the big bedroom and just slept. I tried to get my brother to wake up with me, but he didn't. And I crawled over, and I look out to the living room, and I just see my parents and my dad's mom just loading up around the TV. Marie didn't even decorate. She had maybe a tiny little tree on top of her TV, and that's where all the decorations went. And it just clicked. I'm like, there's Santa. There's Santa Claus. And I cried really quietly and went back to bed and just cried. In my, next to my brother, holding him, Santa's not real. And I didn't tell anybody the next day, but I, opened everything, whatever. And they're like, oh, what did Santa bring you? And I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm so distraught. But it seems that a lot of us just caught our parents in the act. There was one year, well after my parents were divorced, that I spent the Christmas with my, I say stepbrother, stepsister, stepfamily. But my dad never married this woman, but he dated her for a number of years, and she had kids too, and we all got very close. But there was a point where I was sharing a room with my stepsister, and we hear all this noise, and her cousin was also in the room, and we legit thought somebody was breaking in. It just didn't even cross our minds that it could be the parents putting presents together until the next morning. Oh, well, we didn't sleep for the entire night because we thought someone was breaking in and just being super chill about not coming into the rooms. But it seems that I wasn't alone there. Manonymous said he stopped believing about 20 years ago, but thanks to movies, he believes in him again. I would love to hear that story someday, if you're ever down. Jeremy says he was about 8. Sara Ragsdale, who I just call Ragsdale, she caught Mom putting out presents around the age of 7. Amanda Gish, who I call Gish, says she was about 10. Cameron says he was about 9. Ren, I'm curious what you mean by when you saw, she says, when I saw the string in the Santa mask, as a 5-year-old. Like, is it an actual mask that you're talking about or the string for the beard? Answer me on Twitter or Instagram about that. Because if it's a Santa mask, I don't know what that means. And maybe, like, I'm alone there, but that's interesting to me. Jamal says, I mean, I understand he's not real, but you gotta believe in something even when you grow up out of a phase. It keeps you going as a person. Very well said. I still don't believe in Santa. But I do believe in a lot of other things. You know, hope is a wonderful thing. And then Courtney was about 11. Mario was about 11. Hoff answered. He said he was 7. And a friend said Santa wasn't real, is what he's saying. And my dad said he was old. This is from Stephen. A friend said Santa wasn't real. And my dad said that I was old enough to know the truth. Aw, didn't that just kind of break your heart? That, like, that's just kind of like an 80s, like kid moment in a kid movie. You're like, Dad, is Santa real? Like, of course Santa's not real. You're old. Figure it out. Like, it broke my heart a little bit. Okay, so another thing that I asked was favorite holiday beverage. I don't think we were really I don't ever remember voluntarily seeing eggnog at any establishment that a family held, like, or a little event that a family held, but maybe I'm alone there. So I just had you guys respond. 14% said eggnog. Hot chocolate was the big one with 43%. And then it rattled off equally between whiskey, my mom's wassail, don't know what that is, and I don't know if you spelled it right. I'm assuming you did. Chocolate, Christmas fudge. Is there a drinkable fudge? Someone asked me, because I did share the little bit of graphs. If there's a drinkable fudge, I still don't want to try it, but I do want to know what the hell it looks like. I'm guessing fudge. Liquid. And then peppermint hot chocolate, which, hot mulled apple. I'm a voice actor, guys. Hot mulled apple cider. And I'm going to add another one. Hot toddies. That's my favorite, and I love it. Make my own. Very simple. Ooh, Hoff. We should make toddies later. I don't know if it's hot enough or cold enough. Yeah, beverages or like the cliche, like, oh, hey, I'm going to throw this alcohol, like some more alcohol into this eggnog. I don't know if I've ever had an eggnog that I liked. And I was a lot more of a fan of hot chocolate as a kid than I am now. I'm not really a big sweets person, but I don't know. I'm always down for a little bit of hot chocolate. I don't know why I said it like that's that might be a little controversial, but yeah. Okay. Favorite holiday dish, not including desserts. And this kind of ran all over the place. Let's see. Manonymous said lasagna. Reggie. Hey, Reggie. Anything peppermint. Anything peppermint. What's peppermint that isn't a dessert? Or are you just playing with the rules? I'm going to say yes. Ben, squash casserole. Ben Phillips. Hey, Ben. Squash casserole. I don't know if I've ever had squash casserole. As a holiday thing. Gish says sweet potatoes. Ren. What is it? Christmas ribs, but it's spelled like a ribby, or I feel like I'm always butchering names with you. RBBE. Christmas ribs. And then lefse. I'm butchering this with butter. LEFSE. With butter. I meant to Google that before the thing to seem all like, oh, it's this, but I never remember to Google it. I'm just kind of flying off the handle there. Jamal says oxtail, which, that sounds really, really good. Hoff has never had oxtail, but like I was reading off the answers, he's like, oh, and like that's like a holiday thing? I'm like, I don't know, man, but we should try it. Courtney says green bean casserole or stuffing. Stuffing, only recently have I stopped doing stuffing for Christmas. I don't want to do Thanksgiving again, like all the Thanksgiving foods again within a month of each other. So, changed it up a little bit, but I do miss stuffing sometimes. A really good salty stuffing that I know is bad for me. Womanonymous says steak. Mario says roasted potatoes, which, yum. Hoff says stuffing. And a lot of y'all said ham or mashed potatoes. I'm a big fan of mashed potatoes. I am in the mashed potatoes family as well. Like, if it's, for whatever reason, like, hey, today is your last day on Earth and you know this, you could literally have anything on the planet. What do you want? Like, mashed potatoes and brown gravy. Like, you can have literally anything. Like I said what I said. Mashed potatoes and brown gravy. Don't make me repeat myself. Oh my goodness. Man, I really don't remember a lot of this freaking movie. Excuse me. Nose is running. Holiday favorite dessert. Now here's a thing that you should know by now. I'm not really into sweets, but a good pastry. Womanonymous says pavlova or pavlova. Stephen, Pavolva. Pavlova? I feel like I'm emphasizing vulva too much. Pavlova. Well, I looked it up and it looked good. Not vulva. Anyways, Megan says cookies. Reggie says angel food cake. Cameron says a good homemade chocolate cookie. Like right out of the oven, like when they've cooled just enough that you're not going to burn the shit out of your hand. That's just me adding on to that. I totally identify with that. And then Ren says rice cream with red sauce. And I'm not going to butcher the real pronunciation that you gave me. But damn it, I don't know what that is and I want it. And then Jamal, okay, also, my mouth is watering. Like, I just had lunch before I got in here, and my mouth is watering. Jamal, great cake. It's like fruit cake, but with rum and port wine, and in parentheses says, it's a Caribbean thing, or a Caribbean thing. However you want to say that. But I've never had great cake, so I'm interested in trying that. You gotta send me a photo of that. Preferably on Twitter, so I can share that and just with the drool emojis. But Courtney says gingerbread and cinnamon twist bread. I keep thinking I'm into gingerbread, and then I try it like, oh, right, I'm not, but I don't waste food, so I eat it just kind of being like, I mean, it's there. It's a cookie. And then cinnamon twist bread, oh my God, I just realized what that is. And yeah, you guys are the devil. Because all that sounds good. How did I name her this? Womanonymous spiced apple cake. Mario says, oh my gosh, I'm mixing up things. It's been an interesting week, y'all. Mario says Christmas pudding. What is Christmas pudding? I don't know if I've ever had it. Stephen, what's Christmas pudding? No idea. Well, a lot of help you were, buddy. Ragsdale says chocolate pie. Ben says pecan pie. Gish says pumpkin pie. Jeremy says pumpkin pie. Hoff says pumpkin pie. Now, I'll stay on the pumpkin thing, but I want pumpkin empanadas. I miss making empanadas, and we tried last year. I feel like we used to make them just with like simple like canned pumpkin, and Hoff and I have cooked enough that I would use like real pumpkin, and we did last year, but the recipe that we had for the dough, it called for sugar in the dough, which, whatever, like, it was sweet on sweet. So it was good, but it was just too sweet. Where I want a simple buttery pastry with the sweetness inside, but a pumpkin empanada, which is basically pumpkin pie, but handheld pumpkin pie, or I call them jarascas. They're like a Mexican shortbread cookie covered with cinnamon and just brown sugar, sometimes regular sugar too. I love it. I mean, you have me at shortbread, but a big thing with like a lot of holiday like desserts is it's going to have cinnamon and it's going to have brown sugar, or like a buñuelo or something. I love it all. Okay, next question. And it's something that I've only seen done in movies. So sometimes I'm like, are we conditioned to think that there's mistletoe at every fucking party? Or like whenever you're decorating? I never see mistletoe. All I remember about mistletoe is Batman Returns and Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton making me question my sexuality. A lot. So there you go. Just learned a little bit more about me. But, yeah, 100% of every person that answered this said no, they don't hang mistletoe. So, welcome. We are all in the same... No. Camp. Okay, least favorite holiday dish, including dessert. Now here is where a lot of factions formed. But first, there's Ben, who says cranberry sauce. I don't think we even let cranberry sauce be an option as kids. I really don't think so. I didn't get it. And if you're gonna do cranberry sauce, make it. No can. And then Ren says lamb ribs, which I'm not going to butcher the name, or something that's basically like curved cake, because they're always dry. No, yeah, any kind of dessert that's really dry. I'm sure there's a good one out there that isn't a cookie, because at the end of the day, a dry cookie's still a fucking cookie that you can dunk in milk. I don't know. But Manonymous says that fruit cake plate that someone brought that always disappoints. I've never had fruitcake, I think. And like, I think I always kind of thought the fruitcake thing was very much in the same camp as mistletoe, that like, I don't remember anyone ever actually bringing it. But as I got older and started going to, like work parties, I'm like, oh, there's the fruitcake. Holy shit. Like, oh, that looks horrible. No, thank you. And Gish agrees. Courtney agrees. Fruitcake. Also Courtney, sand tarts? What are sand tarts? And pecan pie, which was a favorite of some people. And then Mario says Christmas ham and eggnog. I'm not a big ham person. Controversial again. Eggnog for William, which I'm going to go with William on that too. But, I mean, I answered it myself, but eggnog, no. Ham for a lot of y'all. And especially if it's served cold. No. And then something that was a favorite for a lot of people is a dislike for, like, Ragsdale and Hoff. Doesn't like green bean casserole. Love green bean casserole. But it wasn't until I became a Hoff that my brother-in-law would always make it with cream of celery, because both of my in-laws, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, are allergic to mushrooms. So no cream of mushroom. And I'm like, oh, I think I just like the cream of mushroom part of the green bean casserole. But yeah, when it's done with not mushrooms, get it out of my face. Sweet potatoes are my clan, are my people. Sweet potatoes are the yams. Cameron said it, Jeremy said it, Megan said it, I'm saying it. Whether it's a yam or a sweet potato, monocot or dicot, keep it the fuck away from me. I hate it. I hate it so much. And for some reason, there's always that person like, well, what about sweet potato fries? I'm like, you just answered your own question, Janet. I don't want them. I'm like, oh, what about root chips? I'm like, no. I mean, I'll take all the potato and then maybe the yucca, and then you can fuck off. And the taro. The taro can stay too, because taro is my favorite milk tea. Okay. Now we got into just what kind of person. Are you a giving person or are you a receiving person? And I'm not trying to make that sound sexual, but here we are. 93% of y'all said you're giving. And I'll say that there's just a point in your life where even if there are many things that you want, there is just something about giving someone something and saying, hey, thought of you. That is pretty fucking spectacular. I would imagine it's what heroin feels like. And I don't know. And I don't want to really know for sure whether or not I'm lying. I don't want to say I get off on it, but it makes me feel good. Stephen and I tried to do Operation Santa this year. And first, some were very obviously adults. And there was one woman that's like, I'm 37 and I just really think I need a new bed set. I'm like, well, good for you, Emily. But I want to give, to like a full family or like a kid that's adorable. Maybe that's just me. But there would be like, I would make sure to have to sign in, and I was checking every day and every night, at the beginning of every day and the end of every day, to try to get a letter, like basically where you like pick a letter and you say, yes, I'm going to get this. And then you go yourself and get the toy or toys for the kid or the family. Because you can do an individual or you can do like a full family. And everything just kept disappearing. Like I would hit a letter. They're like, yeah, that letter's gone. I would hit another one. I'm like, oh, and there was just at one point, there was just like a squiggle of blue with the inside being green. They're like, I want what you think this is. I'm like, oh my God, that could be so many things. I want to do that. And they're like, yeah, that one went immediately. And so all that was left very quickly was 20 kids asking for the PlayStation 5. And I'm like, I kind of thought I was being generous at maybe like a couple hundred, but maybe. And Steven's like, I don't know, maybe we can just give them a gift card, because also on the website, it's like, remember that these kids are thinking they're talking to Santa. Most of them. There's 37-year-old Emily that's just like, hey, I just living my best life. And I think someone got you your comforter set. So there you go. They're like, so they're going to ask for the moon. But I remember I was always kind of frugal as a kid, and I still am pretty frugal now. Like, not to brag, but I'm kind of doing okay. And it's like, yeah, you could go here and get this really nice jacket that you want. I'm like, I would rather see what I could find at a thrift shop. I that's just how I am. And as a last resort, I guess I'll buy this. Like, unless it's a very specific thing. I mean, I did also just buy like a zip up hoodie of like Katya and Trixie, because I love Trixie and Katya, and I'm going to see them at some point next year. Hopefully, we'll see how the pandemic continues. But anyways, yeah, we eventually just went, I don't think this is gonna, like, I'm hopeful for next year, but the time just kept going away. And I think it's a really good thing to complain that, like, even like when we were like, maybe we'll rebudget some stuff and maybe we will buy a kid a PlayStation, those PlayStation letters started going away, which meant that people were adopting those. I'm like, God damn it, what is left? And nothing, basically. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I tried. So what Hoff and I ended up doing is, like, we really wanted to help. So we split up the allotted money that we had for Operation Santa, and we gave half of it to the Tarrant County Food Bank and the other half to Arlington Life Shelter, which helps out not just people in the Arlington area, but in a good chunk of the DFW that are without a home or without a permanent home this year. And then Tarrant County Food Bank Tarrant, I forget the actual name. I think I said it right. Or Tarrant National Food Bank. Something like that. It doesn't matter. They've always been really cool about how they break down, like, for, like, every $2, here's how many meals you bought. Like, that's really cool. You know, it's not a huge thing, but I was kind of looking forward to, I don't know, finding some toys or something. But the letters themselves were really fun to look through. I love the way kids talk and the way that they talked to Santa, or saying that they were going to leave out carrots for, you know, the reindeer. One kid asking like if Santa was vegan. I'm like, oh, I love that so much. Yeah, kids are awesome. So with that in mind, I asked all of you guys to share with me, if you were so inclined, a favorite holiday memory from childhood. And was it Manonymous says cousins getting together to play Atmosphere, the board game. No idea what that is. I'm going to look it up. Hoff, have you ever heard of Atmosphere? Okay. And from Jeremy, what up, Jeremy? Taking a trip to visit my aunt when I was young, possibly 7. It was a quiet little ranch in Idaho with horses, very peaceful. But it was this year for Christmas, I was gifted my favorite childhood toy, a Power Rangers Megazord. Oh my God. I'm still to this day a big Power Rangers dork. I don't watch the new ones, but like the love of the series, that's never gone away. Anyways, Jeremy continues, I played with that thing for years and was so surprised to get it. I don't even recall knowing the toy existed until the wrapping paper came off. And it's another memory of mine that showed how much my mother did to make my sister and I happy while raising us alone. Jeremy, you're going to make a bitch cry. And we can't have people knowing I'm a human being. You're a monster. See, like when I was talking about being frugal, it's that thing where like when I got anything, I was always very fascinated. Like what made the person that gave me this think that I would enjoy it, because most of the time I did. I even enjoyed getting clothes or like makeup or stuff like that. I was never really like, oh God, I can't believe I got this. But when it's something that's like a haha that you didn't know this existed, that's pretty fucking cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. Oh, Ragsdale says her favorite, one of her favorites is her mom dressing up as Santa at her school. Aww. I don't think any family member ever dressed up as Santa. Which is probably why it's totally okay that Santa can be a little hot to me sometimes. Maybe it's the beard, maybe it's the glasses, maybe it's his fondness of making lists, I don't know. And he checks them twice, he's very thorough. But I totally ruined that for you. But yeah, I like that, especially a female Santa. Fuck yeah. Megan says, the time I asked for a car for Christmas. So my folks got me Hot Wheels. They had called my neighbors to ask, hey, is it cool if we stick it in the driveway and be like, hey, guess what? And they said, God, no, she might kill you. So they stuck it on the tree. I was still salty. Megan. I feel you. There are little things, like little jokes that family does, and they don't mean anything malicious by it. But I had like a Debbie from Addams Family Values moment, which is like, you know, all I wanted was a ballerina Barbie. And do you know what my parents got me? Malibu Barbie. That's not who I was. I was a ballerina. Graceful, delicate. They had to go. There was something about being multi-ethnic, you know, being raised mostly in a Mexican household, but having a very white dad and a very white other half of the family. There were a lot of just misunderstandings that I didn't get were misunderstandings at the time because I was a fucking kid. But Christmas was always interesting, I think, for my mom, because, like, whenever I asked for toys, I always asked for what, like, my friends wanted. And more often than not, those didn't represent anything but white people and white culture. And I think maybe she was a little, like, this is all just guessing, a little upset how much I really wanted Barbie. Like, I really wanted Barbie, not a specific Malibu or Babadoo, but there was one Christmas and my grandmother's birthday, which my grandmother, also passed away last year. So like Christmas Eve, I was like, what's a thing? Like I'm remembering that Christmas Eve was always like, oh, right. My grandmother's birthday was on Christmas Eve. And there was one year that she had to have a knee surgery. So for Christmas Eve on her birthday, like all the grandkids, and I'm one out of like 10 first grandkids, and I'm like the second oldest by like a month, where like my uncle brought us, presents to unwrap in front of my grandmother, and my uncle did this thing that I just can't stand, and he did it a couple of years where he hands everybody their presents, and then it gets to me, and he turns the bag upside down, and it's like, oh, I guess I forgot you, like, why would you do that? And then just like, just kidding. And then they pull it out from somewhere else. I'm like, I was always that family member, the one that's like, and if you didn't find it funny, like, oh, someone's crying. I'm like, cause it's not funny. I don't like the idea of being forgotten. But I know the old school Barbie box shape. So I'm like, it's Barbie. And I open it up and it's Teresa. Still the Mattel brand, but it's Barbie's Hispanic friend. And my mother's name is also Teresa. That's why my name is Terri. Terri was her nickname in high school. I don't think I hid it very well. How I was like, it's a kid brain thing where you're not like hey, no, like I got this. Or this doll was given to you because it's a Hispanic Barbie. But all I focused on was it's not Barbie. I learned to love her a little more, but I think I kind of broke my mom's heart a little bit, not liking it as much as I think she assumed I would. But it's that thing where like that even happened to a friend of mine's. Like he really wanted a Transformer. And his parents didn't know the difference between Transformers and GoBots, so they got him some GoBot stuff. And they were so mad at him for being upset that they got that he hated the gift. But it's like you see both sides of it. You see the parent side and you see the kid side, and it's just a perfect storm. Oh my gosh. Like, you can just, and that's when it's like, does the kid still believe in Santa? Well, what did Santa think when he saw that and thought of you? I don't know. But those little torture gifts that they don't know are torture, or they're like, oh, this will be like a, can't with those at all. My gosh. Reggie says visiting her aunt's farm for her favorite childhood memory. I love a good farm. Gish, Amanda Gish. Santa brought me a TARDIS when I was 5. Mom made it out of a refrigerator box, and it was honestly my favorite gift ever. I only just threw it away a few years ago when it started to crumble. Oh my God. Handmade gifts. See, you can't be mad at that. Like, if I had asked for, like, a Malibu Barbie house or ballerina Barbie, I think if somebody had made it, I'd just been like, oh, wow, they put a lot of work into this. But I don't know. That's very touching and very thoughtful. I love that. Who doesn't love a good TARDIS? Especially made out of a refrigerator box. Oh, that had to be bigger on the inside. Hey, I don't know. Leave me alone. Cameron says, decorating a live tree on Christmas morning with my whole extended family. That's cool. I've never thought to do that. I didn't really have many actual trees. Hoff and I were talking about this. I really want a gold or silver tree next year. Right now, we don't really have a Christmas tree. We have my wreath, and maybe next year, my Keanu wreaths. When you have a lisp, say anything plural. that's got a TH with it. That's fun. Like thinking of a live tree, Stephen's like, what's the benefit of a live tree? I'm like, it's alive. I'm sure there's a tradition tied to it. And I'm sure I'm like, I know. But yeah, I like doing a live tree and just being maybe more respectful to the tree, because you're not killing the tree and putting and showcasing its carcass in front of your main window of your house or trailer in my case. Hey, I love that. Ren says, opening presents long into the night with almost the entire family. I think we went to bed at 2 a.m. I was around 5 or 6. Oh my gosh. Do you remember staying up past like 10 as a child and just being, this is crazy. And then not waking up till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Oh my gosh. William says, me trying to wrap gifts with my dad one year and realizing we couldn't do it and just ended up putting things in gift bags. Gift bags are a godsend. My gosh. I think we were we wrapped like 2 presents and then we just gave up. Yeah. I never got, as a kid, granted, I grew up a little bit more on the poor side. The only reason I know that is because, kids made sure to tell me. But there was just one year, like, we did, like, a Secret Santa, and someone was like, where did you get this wrapping paper? I was, like, 10. I'm like, oh, I just used the funny pages. They're like, yeah, I know. That's obvious. I'm like, fuck you, Natalie. And at 10, I probably said that. But I like doing things like that, but I don't really do the newspaper anymore, so gift bags. Gift bags, or just straight up giving someone the gift. Like, you're surprised that I got you something. Ta fucking da. Jamal, favorite memory from childhood. Playing in the snow when I was a kid. I haven't seen snow in almost 30 years, except 1 year when I went to Anime Boston. Courtney says, driving around the Mansions neighborhood, looking at Christmas lights with my parents, and all 5 of us kids in the giant Suburban we called the Beast, and it was so cold the fountains froze mid-spray. That was a big thing. I think one of the last Halloweens, Christmases that I tried to do the family thing. Hoff and I, like, did, we were in San Angelo, and we did, the drive-through, like, area where, like, it's a park that's all set up with different decorations. And, I used to live in San Angelo, and I've spent a lot of Christmases there. So, it's just driving around going, like, I feel like these are the same decorations, like, that I saw when I was a kid, and that's wild to me. But that was fun. And also, it's the same reason, like, around Halloween, where you're like, I'm going to go to the rich neighborhoods to get the full-size candy bars. I'm going to go to the rich neighborhoods to see, like, how these rich people, like, took weeks on weeks to, like, build schematics, floor plans, sets for their yard. That was bananas to me. I don't have the patience for that. My gosh. But it's always fun to look at everybody else's effort and be like, oh, that's beautiful. God, that just seems like way too much work for wanting someone that you don't know driving and maybe parking in front of your house. And then, let's see. Mario says, playing in the snow with family members I hadn't seen in years. Like, aw. Hoff says, when I was a kid, I got a gift from someone at school. I rewrapped it and put it underneath the tree just to have an extra gift to open Christmas morning. I took a cue from A Christmas Story and really milked the moment. Since my parents hadn't gotten it for me, I acted like I just noticed it, like, what's that? And pretended to be so surprised. I like that so much. Oh my gosh. And I have a lot, like, Stephen's mom gave me a lot of family photos. So I've got a lot of these little adorable little baby Hoff moments. And guys, he was an adorable kid. I was pretty fucking adorable. Speaking of an adorable Terri Doty as a child, there was one year where my dad's dad, just stayed with us for Christmas. And this was before my parents divorced. And there was, like, I woke up before the sun was up, And, you know, when grandparent time, that meant my grandfather had probably been up for at least an hour. And I woke up my brother, and we just looked at my grandpa like, oh my God, the presents are here. He's like, yeah, whatever. He was very like, don't care. I'm like, can we open them? And he went, I really don't care. Do whatever you want. And we opened all of them. My brother and I opened up everything. Like everything, including like having my grandpa cut open things that were sealed, putting batteries in. And then about 3 hours later, my parents came out and just saw what was left. Mostly a sea of wrapping paper. And they were pissed. They were pissed off. But like my brother and I were like, thanks for this. I had like oh my gosh, it was like a startup computer thing. It's not a speak and spell, but it just helped with spelling because I loved spelling. I did like spelling bees and stuff like that. And, my brother, I forget what else. And we're like, thanks for this and thanks for that. And, Santa got me this and blah, 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 blah. And my dad is like, Dad, what did you let them open them? He was like, they're not my kids. Like, I don't care. That was a favorite of mine. I think one of the last Christmases before my parents did us all a favor and got divorced. It's just a funny little thinking on it now. Like if I had gone through all this effort, made sure to not put these presents up before the kids went to bed and blah, blah, blah. And I believe this is also the year that I'm like, well, Santa comes through a chimney. Like we live in a trailer. Where's this guy coming from? And like, he's magic. Like, I don't know. Something doesn't add up. But then being like, the meteorologist did do a Santa sighting thing, so I'm not going to question that. All right, another thing that I asked, what is on your wish list this year? Manonymous says, no one complains about the breakfast I'm cooking for the gathering. I wish you luck, good sir. Jeremy, a smile on my family's face. All I need to do is see their happiness. This will be the first holiday in our first owned home together. Hell yeah. And it's been a battle to get here. The hell yeah was me. This one will mean a lot. Hopefully his daughter, which I will refrain from saying her name, will grow up with many fond memories of this place. Jeremy, love it. Ragsdale, a massage, girl. I don't do a lot of a lot for myself, like self-care that takes place outside the house or but obviously pandemic, I try to minimize interaction with strangers, but I'm like, a massage. It sounds lovely. Megan says, anime, work clothes, the manga Requiem of the Rose King, which I need to look up because that sounds awesome. Reggie, I want to pay off my debt. Reggie, I wish you luck. Gish says gear, like mics, cameras, lights, and I really want to learn and get better with production. It's been almost 20 years of doing film and all that, like officially as a techie. And I'm always like insanely floored at how much technology has changed. So I feel you. And especially with these last 2 years, having to really bump up my remote game. I was already doing remote stuff, but it's just gotten a lot more complicated since the pandemic. So I feel you, girl. Cameron says, more anime and video games to watch and play. Oh, and another national park trip. I want a national park trip. Gimme. Ren says money from my savings account. Ren, if you just give me your bank account number, I'll see what I can do. William, a Nintendo Switch and a new microwave for my folks. The microwave is a giant one. I want a new one. I got like the cheapest one and it barely fits a plate. And instead of just being like, hey, we need a new one, it's been like 4 or 5 years. And Hoff and I have just like cut stuff in really weird ways to make it fit in this tiny, like, this microwave belongs in a dorm, like, size microwave. I feel you on that. But I wish you luck on the Switch. Stephen got one for himself at some point earlier this year. And he has game player hands where he's got to do these stretches afterwards, but he loves his Switch. Courtney says, gas and a new job. Girl, I feel that. Womanonymous says, winter shrubs sampler from Tate Farm Foods. No idea what that is, but this sounds awesome. Mario, for me and my family to be in good health. Yes. I wish all of you good health. All of you. Except for you. I wish you great health. I just like you a little bit more. I'm pointing at Stephen and he can't see me. Then Hoff and myself both answered similarly. I said motivation. I just want to be more motivated. I've been definitely in kind of a slump, and talking about slightly like the remote stuff, it wears on you. I miss interacting with people so much, but we're just not ready. So sometimes, like, especially if it's a long session, never going to complain about that. I miss interacting, the real collaboration of seeing the engineer, seeing the director and or client. I miss it. Want to be further motivated, and also motivated in writing other things. With the way things have been lately, yes, I've written a book, and I have, I'm on like draft 3 or 4, I forget, of this second book. But the motivation with passion projects is so hard when there are just so many heavy things going on. And then also trying to stay busy and on top of stuff and making sure that your family's taken care of. So it's getting the motivation just all around. Hoff says brotivation. That's on his wish list. That's mine. That's my man right there. So we're talking about a favorite gift. So, Anonymous, or Manonymous, says, my teddy bear with matching PJs, still have them. Awesome. Jeremy, the aforementioned Power Rangers Megazord. I really wanted Tommy's dagger. Never got it. My what was it? A cousin of mine had it and like knew that my brother and I each wanted one. So what he would do is just like play it near us. Swear to God. His name was Steven. Like he almost got punched in the neck once and had his dagger stolen. But you know, that might have looked a little poorly on my parents. So my brother and I just left our cousin Steven unmurdered. You're welcome. But anyways, Ragsdale says her first digital camera. Nice. Megan, tickets to an NHL All-Star game. Jealous. I'm jealous. Reggie says Pokemon Red. Ben says his favorite Uncle Greg gave him Final Fantasy III. Like part 6, the year that it came out. I don't remember. And he said, thanks, Uncle Greg. Ren, an embroidered hoodie with the design of my favorite Black Mirror episode. I want to see this hoodie. I'm obsessed with hoodies. I'm a hoodie collector. I want to see it. William says, my parents found an NES one year that I still play to this day. Nice. Jamal, it's slim pickings for me, but I've got everything I need for now. Maybe I transferred that wrong, but favorite gift, Jamal, is you. You're welcome. Courtney, I did get an inflatable chair one year. Oh my God! I think I got one 7th or 8th grade, like a neon pink one that my brother like deflated within a month. I tried to explain to Stephen what this was and had to like pull up a photo. An inflatable chair with arms. Oh my gosh. I love it. Says it didn't even pop. I just kept getting hurt playing on it. So my parents took it away. No, my brother and I had like tiny little rivalries all the time. And it was one of those like, oh, your chair deflated. I'm like, I wonder how that happened. Murder. Womanonymous is officially licensed Lord of the Rings bookends. Oh, nice. Hoff says his Atari 2600. And me, again, I don't ask for things like there have been years where it's like, oh, TJ, because that's what my family calls me. TJ really loves Janet Jackson. And then like 4 people will get me like the same Janet Jackson cassette. I say cassette because I'm old. Like, oh, well, you guys just gave me the task of going to 3 different Walmarts. Thank you. I think one of the replacements was Meatloaf's Bad Out of Hell. And they're like, oh, you want this whole album? Yes. No, I just wanted the I would do anything for love. And then I forget what the other ones were. Something clever. I also really loved Madonna, but it was all about Janet Jackson. But one year, my dad, it was during the divorce battles where the parents tried to one-up each other, and I've previously spoken about this pink moose that was kind of like an insane gift that was like the size of me and insane to fly with. But the same year, I got a 3-disc stereo changer with 2 cassettes. So basically, you could listen to 3 discs at any point and, you know, switch them around. But you could also record discs and listen to the radio. What? And the speakers are detachable, so you could move them to other parts of the house. What? It was so fancy to me. I don't even think it was name brand or whatever, but I loved it. Okay, here's one because I always ask, do you remember a gift that felt super random? And like random to me is obviously going to mean random differently to you. But, you know, I'm not necessarily talking like everybody always complains about socks. I love getting socks. As long as they're not the cheap ones that are going to make it seem like I'm like slipping out of my chucks or something. But okay, Manonymous says a book detailing history of food ingredients and their use. I would actually love that gift. Jeremy says, I remember like a Noah's Ark toy with little animals that an aunt gave me when I was young. There was Noah loading the ark with the help of Batman and the Red Ranger. I remember that story. Very sad ending for Batman, but he enjoys the trauma. There you go. It was just one of the Robins didn't make it. Sorry, I'm adding to the story here. That's not what Jeremy wrote. He just ended at Red Ranger, and I added some flourish. I'm a writer. Ragsdale says, my mom got me a shirt with Joe Cool on it. That is random. Hey, kids, smoke up. Smoke up, Sara. Megan, the combo charger and car jumper. But hey, it's a godsend. Yeah, when it's something like okay, but it's useful, you're like, I mean, this could have just been something you gave me, but that sounds so ungrateful. Because it is. But yeah, like, hey, you're probably cooler about it than I would have been. Gish, I honestly feel like I can make anything work. I just like the fact that they were thinking about me. Same. Most of the time. There are sometimes in my family we have these little like snide gifts. Like, thought you could use this, and you're like, what about this? Screamed me. I'm like, well, this. I won't go into specifics, but Ren, a stormproof umbrella. I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it's a stormproof umbrella. An umbrella that is stormproofed, and that sounds great. William, my mom bought me these storage containers in the hopes that I would clean my room. Subtle mom. I like it. Womanonymous, a gift card to a beauty line, as I don't use makeup. Turns out that they have a connected cosmetology institute offering discounted haircuts. So it worked! Hey! Mario, in 2005, I was given a personal pen. A super normal big pen you can get at any store. It was gift wrapped and everything. Hey. Yeah. And as I mentioned before, the pink moose. For those who don't remember from a previous episode, there was a moose that my dad got me. I was never like, oh my god, moose is my favorite animal, or something like that. It was typically, like I talked about flamingos a lot. I did love the color pink, but at this point I was pretending that I didn't. But I got this giant pink moose from my dad and stepmom. And I didn't really think much of it, except like, this thing is heavy. It's really fuzzy and adorable. It shed all over the place. But I didn't think anything of it until I had to fly home with it, which it needed its own seat. And it couldn't fit into my mom's Mazda MX-6. Like, my mom almost was like, how much do you really like this? We could just leave it here. And that's when I decided I actually loved it. And I do still. Like, I think about it. I don't remember what happened to it. But I'm realizing now it was like a fuck you, like, from like my stepmom and dad, because my mom had to travel home with it. That's my interpretation of it. But anyways, we talked about Christmas trees before, and Hoff and I have talked about, like I said before, getting, a silver tree. If I were single, I'd probably have a pink tree. Like, as much as I'm like, oh, hey, a black tree. I do have a black tree that's a little tinier, but that's a Halloween tree. I started doing a Halloween tree when I saw my friend Tia do it one year, and I loved it. But I don't really do real trees. And 85% of you said that you also do a fake tree. Or no tree. And then one of you said, I'm not dragging a tree up the stairs to the 4th floor. Also, a fake tree is better for the environment. Think about what a fake tree is made out of. Yeah. But, and then I said, what is your favorite tradition? And it's, see which street has the best lights, decorating after Thanksgiving. The 24 hours of, Christmas Story. I remember that. I think it was TBS, right? I couldn't remember if it was TBS or TNT. And then, going to the neighbors, it's just all these really cool, like, a lot of, like, breakfast or, like, food-related things. What I hated about, Christmas was December 26th, when, you were typically made to go to a store to get batteries or do returns. And as someone who used to work in retail, it just never stops. It's like, hey, get up for Black Friday. Hey, the last sale for this, and da-da-da-da-da. And you'll get Christmas off, but you won't get the next day off. Like, you're expected to come in early. So it just feels like a weird, like, hope you enjoyed this day that you have to cut short to get up early. But anyways, yeah. A lot of watching stuff. And so, like, it was just a general, like, I noticed that a lot of you guys, like, just do breakfast. A really good breakfast or, a really good dinner. I like it. This year, I started wearing, when we cleaned out Judy's stuff, I noticed this when Judy was alive, as Judy has a lot of holiday socks. And so I was given the task of cleaning out Judy's clothes. And now like, when I got to her socks, I saw these colorful socks. I couldn't bring myself to donate them. So I'm wearing Judy socks whenever I can, and I will slowly build up my Christmas sock collection. I'm not a big Christmas person, but I'll do that for Judy. It's become a Christmas sock person. So if you ever see cool Christmas socks, tell a bish, and I will buy them. More than likely, unless they're like insanely like Nordstrom socks or something, where they're like, yeah, it's like $20 for just one or some shit. I don't know. I'm being nice saying $20. I once saw some flats that I ended up getting at Payless for $300 on sale. So, no. But, when do you open gifts? That seems to be an interesting one. 57% of you said Christmas Day. But then some of you said both because, of either mixed families or separated families but yeah, only 14% of you guys said Christmas Eve. Like, I was thinking about doing that, but then Christmas Day just seems more, And then I've also heard other people say, well, we opened like one gift. No, we didn't do that. So I asked, what do you leave out for Santa? Some said whiskey. Many said chocolate chips. And and or carrots, chocolate chips. We didn't really do chocolate chip. We always did Oreos, which now thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, it's not a traditional thing, but I'm like, it's a cookie. It's different. Do you know Oreos are vegan? You're welcome, Santa. Callback. But most of you guys said chocolate chips or nothing, especially if you have dogs, which I know we had dogs, but they weren't into cookies. Or there was one year that, the year that I found out that Santa wasn't real, I asked what, we're leaving out. And my dad's mom's left them out like these weird, like boxed, like chocolate truffles. I'm like, Santa's not down with that. Like, that's too fancy for Santa. And also, like, it's chocolate. Like, Santa's gonna ruin his gloves. Think, Marie. But those are good. They are good. I just didn't think that they were Santa appropriate. So now, one of my favorite things to talk about, holiday flicks. I want to know what everybody else is watching. So, Manonymous says Lethal Weapon, which is interesting. I'm not a big fan of Lethal Weapon. I was, but then I realized Mel Gibson's garbage. And it's like, oh, you can separate da-da-da-da-da. Sometimes it's just impossible to separate the art from the artist. And that's what I'm going to leave it there, because that's a very loaded statement of mine if you know anything about the industry that I'm in. But Rise of the Guardians, I've never seen. And I've seen a lot of great cosplay from it. Never seen it. Tell me, is it good? Is it worth it? Tell me on Twitter. At @tdotally. Nightmare Before Christmas from Jeremy. They watch it every year. I'm so glad you said that, because most of the time people relate that more to Halloween. And as my friend Steve pointed out in That Anime Show episode, Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie. It's got Christmas in the frickin' title. It's not about Halloween. I mean, it's got little Halloween elements, obviously, but yeah. Ragsdale says A Christmas Story. Megan says Tokyo Godfathers. Reggie, Polar Express. Ben, 3 movies he watches every year. The Ref, Scrooge, Mixed Nuts. I just saw Mixed Nuts this year, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not having seen it sooner. Scrooged is a huge one. Try to watch it whenever I can. That was actually one of my birthday presents this year, is to get Scrooged on DVD. I love Bill Murray, and I quote that movie more than I think I really figure out. But I made the appointment 2 months ago. I care! I like a good... I was about to say I like a good dick, and then I just said it, but a prick, a jerk. And then, yeah, we can... that also relates to one of my favorite recent, like in the past couple of years, I've reread it 2 or 3 times, is The Afterlife of Holly Chase. It's a book by Cynthia Hand, and it's the idea that Scrooge is not is basically someone that is picked by an organization to have Scrooge-like qualities, and every year this operation picks someone to save, like, this is our Scrooge this year. Like, who is the Belle? Who is the Cratchit? Blah, blah, blah. Who's Tiny Tim in this person's life? It's really good. Check it out. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, Gish, also Nightmare Before Christmas. Cameron, A Christmas Story, mainly because I'm from the Cleveland area, and the movie was filmed there. Zach Ward, who played Scut Farkas, used to follow me on Twitter, and he doesn't. What's that about? Glad Ralphie kicked your ass. I'm kidding. I know nothing about Zach Ward other than he's worked with a few of my friends, and that's just a joke. Please don't ask him about that. Ren, Die Hard, yes. Home Alone, 1 and 2, and National Lampoon's Christmas Holiday. Do you mean Christmas Vacation? Is it called Christmas Holiday in Norway? I want to know. Tell me. William, The Polar Express, or Christmas Wish. I've never seen The Polar Express. Is it any good? If you know me at all, tell me honestly. Courtney, still really like The Holiday and the Santa Claus and the Grinch, Polar Express, Elf. I've only seen Elf once. I want to rewatch it, but Hoff does not really like Will Ferrell, so I haven't seen it recently. have to watch it when he's not in the house. But I realized, I'm like, oh, that's the first movie I saw the Dinkles in. The Dinkles. Womanonymous, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, with Jim Cummings as Old Santa Claus. Never seen it. Interested. Mario, Home Alone. Hoff, A Christmas Story, Home Alone. Charlie Brown Christmas. Which I'm like, that's a movie, right? This is not TV? Whatever. For me, there's a movie. I don't know if it's fully Christmas, but it happens around Christmas, so I'd lump it in with Christmas. Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. That is such a guilty pleasure movie for me. I love that movie. I don't know really why. There's nothing like amazeballs about it, but it all just works together, and I love Queen Latifah. And that just felt like a really super random movie to tell you guys that I'm kind of obsessed with around the holidays. But that one, Krampus, is also a good one. And there are all these different Krampus-like movies. So it's the one by the same director, Michael Dougherty, who did Trick or Treat. It's got Adam Scott, Toni Collette, and a bunch of other great working actors. But it's beautiful. It's subtle. It's actually, but still plenty creepy. Love it though. Scrooged, and then my Die Hard, which is Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis. Check it out. You will love it. Or not. It really depends on your taste, and I can't speak for you. Let's see. Favorite holiday TV. And then Manonymous. It's currently shows that are made for infants. I'm like, yep. Jeremy holiday episodes for anime. Random Christmas specials from Ragsdale. What was it? The Mickey's Christmas Carol, blah, from Ben. Yeah, seeing Gish under TV has the Charlie Brown Christmas special. I don't know. You guys, a whole mess of stuff, but for me, one cool thing, and I've talked about Peacock way too much, but Peacock and HBO Max, they have like hey, here are the holiday episodes of these shows. So I've been rewatching like The Office Christmas specials, the Christmas episodes. I like Supernatural a lot. I don't know if we've talked about Supernatural enough, but I love Supernatural. It's not a perfect show, but I don't care. But their Christmas specials are great. The Zemeckis directed Christmas episode of Tales from the Crypt about, an escaped mental patient who dresses like Santa Claus. But there's a woman that just murdered her husband. Will she get her comeuppance? Maybe. But yeah, and also Friends. Like, Friends was a big deal also for Thanksgiving. Is the Friends Christmas or holiday episodes. Christmas music I asked you guys about, and I'll go ahead and spoil it for a lot of you. None of you said Mariah Carey, 'cause y'all are smart. I don't think anybody goes, yeah, I don't think even Mariah Carey at this point is like, oh, check this out. No. I don't, when I asked about holiday music, I didn't really have like a great idea. Like some of you guys said, Bing Crosby, Last Christmas, Holly Dolly Christmas, Norwegian Christmas music. I'll let you guess on who said that one. What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. Yeah, all good stuff. I also, just from the point of view of someone who worked in retail, Guitar Center had holiday songs that they had like made specifically, or it felt like they were specific. I can't fully say, but songs I'd never heard anywhere but Guitar Center or GC Radio. Like there was one that would always kill us. That's like a guy that's just saying no one knows how to spell Hanukkah. And every time that song played, you'd heard at least one customer be like, the fuck is this? I'm triggered by Christmas music a good chunk of the time. Or like, I don't know about last year, but this year, the day after Halloween, you're going to play Christmas music. You put some fucking respect on November 1st, sir. You don't play Christmas music until Black Friday, like an adult. So, I've got one more, and it's basically, I just asked, did we miss anything? And one of you, Jamal, said we missed you. I've missed you. Busy is always good, but for passion projects, even like the podcast, sometimes they're very hard. I've missed you guys. I've missed talking to myself in a booth. I don't do it often enough. But Thank you, Jamal. Jeremy says, happy holidays to the Obscure Chatter crew. Or gang. I added crew. I ad-libbed. Thank you, Jeremy. There's this one from William that I just love that he expanded on this. So I'm going to share it with you guys. There was one year, I think it was last year or the year before, that some of my neighbors that ran a dance studio were getting together to help this little boy who had cancer. For some reason it hit me, and I said, I need to help this kid. Didn't know who he was, didn't know his backstory. I knew he was into Harry Potter. I went out and found a really nice replica of wands and wrote a poem and wrapped them up and gave them to the neighbor. Well, she calls me just in tears saying that this little boy's mom wanted to know who got him the wands and who wrote the poem. And she kept asking if she kept asking me if she could tell her. I told her, let's keep the magic of Christmas alive. As long as he's happy, I'm happy. And he just needs to know someone's watching out for him. It was probably the most magical Christmas moment I've had. Or I've had yet, is how we ended that. That made me teary when I initially was going through all of these responses, and that's what I think we need to focus on now, is just how can we help in our own little way bring a little joy to somebody without expecting something in return? Because isn't that the thing? Like, we do so much so often where it's like everything has to be a thing. Everything has to be part of the hustle. Like even the Operation Santa, I was like, well, when we do it, should we do these little things, like showing how we're keeping track of the gift? And Stephen's like, but who is that going to be for? Is it going to be for them or for social media or some kind, that's not why we're doing this. And he was 100% right. But sometimes you get caught up in that culture that go, 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 and everything's got to lead to something else. And you kind of forget, right now, if you're very lucky, you've got people that you love surrounding you and that you can celebrate this holiday with. But this year, for us, this is going to be our first Christmas without Judy. Thanksgiving was hard. She loved Christmas. Seriously, going through her earrings, that girl had just arsenal of nothing but Christmas earrings. I loved it. I loved going through that stuff and just going, oh, Judy. And some of us just aren't doing well. However, that may be mentally, financially, spiritually, however you want to do it. And so in any way that you can, think about possibly helping out, even if it's just a simple text, checking in. I've been checking in with friends whenever I can, and I'll say that's why I'm really glad that I came back to Instagram. It's a really weird thing, but as much as texting and all that is, just kind of seeing my friends live their life through the lens of, their little posts and selfies, that's gone a long way. And I kind of am kicking myself for having quit about a year ago. But William, thank you for sharing that. I don't know if I necessarily have a point to add on to that other than it touched me, and I'm going to try to, pull a William, pull a Bill. I'm sorry. I have an uncle William, but it's Guillermo, and we call him Bill. I love that story, and I really don't know what else to add on to that except to just be you guys, this year has been a lot. Some of it good, some of it fucking awful. The worst I've ever felt. But this holiday season, there's some really good things on the horizon. Just as a person, some as work. And I've reevaluated a lot of stuff and looked inward. And I encourage everybody to do that. Not be so set on who you are, what you want to do, that you forget all the awesome people that surround you. That might not make sense. That might make perfect sense. Who fucking knows? But know that this holiday season, we may have never met, but I'm thinking about you. Maybe just in general, but I hope that if you're listening to this, that you know that there's someone out there that just really hopes that you're all right. And that if you're not, that you feel comfortable maybe telling the people around you that you need some help. Please consider just having the best holiday that you can without stressing yourself the fuck out. And with that in mind, we will be taking, Obscure Chatter will be taking January and possibly February off, but that depends on some things that are in the works. Dawn Bennett is still scheduled for, a date in the future to come onto the show. And if you have submit questions, I have saved them. Thank you so much for listening. And thanks to all those that participated and basically got to hang out with me through these, through your answers. I'm so glad that I got to know you guys better. Until next year, stay obscure.